If you're watching me live, let me know in the comments. I'd love to see what your perspective is around hustle culture and how do you feel about working so hard as musicians. And I know this is one of the topics that comes up very often when I'm talking to musicians about working smarter and not harder. This idea that, it's so easy to get into a mode of DIY, right? Do it yourself. And in today's session, I want to talk about, why it's important that you, in a way, recognize the predominant culture of hustle that musicians have been ingrained for most of their lives. And at the same time, why being aware of this predisposition of working hard instead of smart, how it can actually be one of the biggest threats that you can have in your business. How actually this hustle culture can potentially kill your business. It can make or break your business if you don't fix this mindset of realizing that the strategy here is not doing more of what you've always done in order to grow, but instead to create a different avenue for success that you may have not explored up until today. So let me know if you are watching me live. Come on over here. I want to have a chat with all of you. I'd love to just connect and just talk about hustle culture. How does this impact the lives of musicians in every single area of their careers? Well, here's the thing. As musicians, for long, we've always been taught to believe that the solution for growth is generally doing more of what you've always done. So if you are a teacher and let's say you do a lot of one-on-one lessons, most of the programs and the offers that I see online are all geared towards doing more of what you've been doing, right? Growing your business, saying if you have 40 students, I'll show you how to make, how to create a studio with 100 students or 200 students. Or if you're teaching and gigging, let's say 3 or 4 gigs a week, I'll show you how to gig 10 gigs a week. And I remember when I was a professor at the University of North Texas, I brought in a guest speaker once to our forum. We had a forum every week where we gathered and kind of discussed as a collective what were some strategies for building your careers. And I remember we brought a musician who was really well established, and he asked the class. He said, how many of you would like to have more performance opportunities? And everyone raised their hands. How many of you would like to go from 50 performances a week to 200 performances, let's say a year, 50 performances a year to 200 performances a year? And everyone raised their hands. And then he said, I thought you all were in an entrepreneurship class, which was about being business savvy and understanding how to work smarter, not harder. And everyone was like, what? Because the truth is, what if you didn't have to just hustle your way through growth and try to do more of what you've always done? Hi, Carrie. Good to see you. What if you didn't have to just continue hustling your way through growth, and instead you could change your strategy to one that would require less time commitment, but more of a brain investment commitment, right? That's what I want to talk about today, because I have conversations with musicians every single day. And the typical first thing we address is, what is your biggest challenge, right? And I want you all to think about this right now as you're watching this, to think about this. If you could answer, what is your biggest challenge to me right now, write in the comments. What would you say? What would you say is your biggest challenge? Chances are, if you're like 90% of the musicians that I speak to, you're going to say, I want more of what I'm doing, meaning I want more students. I want more performances. I want more whatever. And that's usually the beginning of the end. That shows me that you are ingrained in hustle culture. Why? Because you're trying to do more of what's not working. You're trying to just continue doing what you know is familiar, but actually it's not going to get you anywhere, right? So let's talk about that. Why is more not necessarily better? Why is the hustle culture of just doing going to potentially destroy your business unless you discover how to see things from a different point of view? Here's why. When you create a business that relies on your time, that requires you to be doing everything in person through manual labor, physical exertion in order to generate income, you will inadvertently think that in order to create more income, you need to just do more of that activity, right? And that's the beginning of the end, because the truth is, when you are feeling financially challenged, if you're struggling to grow your income, you should look for a different path for growth that does not require you to give your time in the same way that you did before. And that may require shifting the way you actually work, shifting your model, and changing your perspective around how you create income, right? So I want you to open your mind to this idea that perhaps the reason why you are stuck up until this point, for those of you who may feel stuck watching this, perhaps the reason why you're stuck is simply because you've been trying to do more of the same, trying to do more of what you've always done, thinking that that was the path for growth, that was the path for success, right? Perhaps wondering how you could improve your marketing skills and thinking you need to become a better marketer. You just need to learn about marketing and grow. I mean, so many of you are even doing ads and everything without having yet the right model, right? And you're spending on ads, you're doing all these things, and you haven't even optimized the business model that you're working on. So you may be spending all this time and effort tinkering on your website, trying to improve your ads, your lead magnets, all the presence online, your social media channels, trying to just attract more visibility to an offer, a program, maybe a structure that is totally limiting you in a time for money situation, right? Or maybe you think you need to do a better job at, finding people, gathering attention, becoming visible, growing your audience, getting more engagement, more likes, and you're putting all your energy into that goal without first having fixed the root cause of the issue, which is the fact that your work structure is trading your time. It's compromising your ability to grow because it requires you to be physically present all the time. So in a way, again, this hustle culture may be the reason why you've always been told and you've always thought that the solution for growth is just working harder at what you've been doing. And I know certainly for me, I was in that mode for many, many years, where, I was working as hard as I could in my day job, and I had a university position. I had a music school that I was running remotely, and I was doing performances here and there. And I honestly felt that I could not work any harder. And yet I was not able to see any financial true result from all the work that I have put in. And it took me a change of perspective and really just getting myself out of my own bubble, not trying to be inside the bottle, reading the labels outside, but instead figuring out how can I surround myself by other people? How can I get a different point of view? Perhaps there's something I'm not seeing in what I'm doing right now that is trapping me in this mode of thinking I just need to hustle my way through growth. And let me know if you resonate, if you're watching this. Perhaps up until now, you've been thinking, I just need to do more of this, get better at this, but it's the same thing. What if instead of doing that, you could change your model of working and create a work environment that requires you primarily to transfer your knowledge, primarily to share with people who need your solution how to fix a specific problem that they may have. And when you start making those shifts and thinking about this perspective, everything changes, because all of a sudden you realize that more does not equal better. More does not equal success. In fact, it's the opposite. When you create a business that relies on your knowledge, that all you have to do is create an awareness of your body of expertise and communicate how your knowledge can solve a specific problem for people. Now people are interested in working with you and having you help them, but not in a done for you type modality, right? When I refer to done for you, I mean doing things physically for people to get results, needing to meet with them one-on-one, needing to produce the physical albums, needing to produce the recordings, needing to manage the artists, needing to book the venues, needing to show up and present on the venues. Don't get me wrong, all of those things are the typical activities that most musicians have, but you want to do those as a side part of your business, not as a main income producing side of your business. Why? Because when you're depending on your income through those activities that require manual labor, then you're always going to be capped, and it's always going to be 100% dependent on you. So, and in a way, you're never going to be able to take a break. You're never going to be able to free yourself from that dependency, because you're always going to know that if you take a step back from your business, things fall apart. And that's not a viable business. That's not the true meaning of a business that runs strategically. So for those of you who are watching this, you may be wondering more about how can you create this type of model where it's not through hustle, it's not through grind, it's not through just doing more and more and more of the same of what you've always done, no matter how familiar you feel with that model. I know it can be a question mark sometimes, a feeling of uncertainty around how could you work differently? What would that even look like? How could you show up with integrity and feel confident that you're getting your clients' results in a different way? And that's okay. Like, I value that. And I think that's wonderful if you have those questions. But just because you have those questions doesn't mean you shouldn't pursue this idea and continue exploring further, right? So I want you to think about this right now and ask yourself, how are you currently working in your life? Is your work 100% dependent on you being at a physical time, at a physical place, manual labor, always being present? If that's the case, then I want you to take action and really start reflecting differently on how you could change your mode of work so that you're no longer so dependent on your physical body for generating income. Now, don't get me wrong. If you want to still do things in person, you want to have one-on-one students, you want to have in-person experiences, you want to do performances, you want to produce music for others, you still want to have that manual labor side of things, I think that's great. You don't have to eliminate it, but you don't want your income to depend on that 100%. Does that make sense? I hope they're getting what I'm saying here. That is a side part of your business that will actually help you in great ways build visibility and attract people into your business. But if you can have an income stream that relies on you downloading your expertise, sharing with people what you know, whether that's music lessons, whether that's production experience, whether that's performance anxiety, coping mechanisms, whether that's recovering from a performance-related injury, whether that's balancing yoga, mindfulness, meditation with music. I mean, there's so many ways that right now you could be connecting your skill sets with what you've done in music and transferring that on to others, building that body of work, that legacy, if you will, right? And so it's just about asking yourself, how can you start shifting your perspective around what you believe is the success that you've been aiming for, and perhaps realizing that you may have been aiming at the wrong goal altogether just because you've been going with the flow. You've been reacting to what you've always been taught as a musician. And maybe now is the time to start shifting that perspective and realizing that maybe there's a different way that does not require so much hustle and grind, and that in fact can give you an unlimited earning potential to completely change your life and change your schedule and not have to be competing with the times that you maybe want to spend with your kids, with your family, just because you need to work, right? So I hope that you feel excited about this potential awakening opportunity. This is something that I'm very, very passionate about bringing to the forefront of the music industry, because I feel that musicians have been unfortunately misinformed around what's actually the best way to earn a living as an artist. How can you tap into your creativity while still earning a good income and not needing a plan B, not needing another job that is not fulfilling, and instead being able to leverage your art, your creativity, your musicianship skills in a model that is actually sustainable and financially viable, right? So if you have any questions and you'd like to discuss this in more depth, by all means, feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to drop the link here in my in the live stream. Just go to fabianaclara.com/connect and feel free to reach out. You can book a call. I'll be happy to help you explore in more depth what this could look like specifically for you and your business. There's a lot of nuances to everything I'm sharing. And of course, for the sake of time, I can't really go over every single way of doing this, but chances are, if you're in this, community, if you're following me, there's a way that you may be wondering, there's a reason that you may be wondering something is missing in the way you're working. And the good news is you don't have to go through this alone. You don't have to figure it all out on your own. So I encourage you to reach out, book a call. I'd be happy to help you discuss how this could be applicable to your specific business, no matter whether you are a performer, an educator, a creator, a producer, a musician, any type of musician entrepreneur that is right now trying to build a livelihood for yourself. Maybe even if you have another job and you're trying to figure out a pathway to potentially remove yourself from that job, this is going to be a great avenue for you to be able to learn a different way of working and remove yourself from that hustle and grind culture that may have been holding you back up until this time. So let's go, everyone. Connect with me if you have any questions. Looking forward to hearing from you, and let me know what your key takeaways are from today's session. And of course, what else would you like for me to talk about in this group? I'm here to support you and everyone in this community. Thank you for joining, and let's prosper together.